What's up, fight fans? And we're back at it with another one here at Round One Sports Talk. Shit, I gotta get this time thing down because I keep thinking that I'm giving you guys 30 minutes and then I go into the video and bam, it hasn't been set. But anyway, hey, what's up, fight fans? And we're back at it with another one here at Round One Sports Talk. So let's talk about it. Um, what's up, Matt? What's up? How you doing, Matt? So I want to talk about the Canelo Alvarez and Jamel Charlo fight, and who you think's gonna win and why. Okay, um, I made a video about this, and I touched up on a few things, and some of the viewers reached out and said that you know Canelo Alvarez's management team. He has a great promotional and management team. Um, and I believe that they're not stupid and they know how to pick their fights. So, in that regard, I don't believe that they really were like, doubting the fact that Canelo Alvarez can beat not the twin that they called. You have to keep in mind that he wasn't the one they called. They went for the bigger twin, right? So the bigger twin didn't take the fight. Okay, so you take the smaller one. Listen, if you already thought you were gonna beat the bigger one and the smaller one takes, come on. I don't even think that they gave it much thought is what I'm thinking, right? Because look, hey, what's up? The big fight is crazy. Big fight this week. Look, I don't think that they gave it much thought in the regards to that. The fact that look, first of all, you would have to secure all four belts in one weight division, which on an average basis, right, it would take you 4 to 5 years to secure all four belts if you fought each guy individually, right? If you won them, you fought one guy and you got three belts, okay, right? So you would have to get all four belts. Then you would have to convince a fighter that did the same thing. They either had to get four belts higher than you or lower than you, right? But one of those weight division had to get all four belts. Then you had to make him an offer to fight you, with you being the one with everything to gain. And all they gain is technically a title defense. That's all I was saying. That Canelo Alvarez, all he's making out of this fight, basically, is a title defense. Because if he wins, what does he win? He stays with all four belts. That's it, right? But if Jamel Charlo pulls the massive upset, okay, because this would be an upset of like a mega proportion because okay, you say Canelo Alvarez's management is not stupid. How stupid would they look if he loses? Tell me, how stupid would they look then? Thank you. Yo, listen. Listen, that's my point. That's my point is that okay, look, Canelo Alvarez has already been criticized throughout his career up until this point. Let's correct that, okay? I would say roughly around the last 8 years of Canelo Alvarez's career is where that he started. People started saying he wasn't fighting the top number one guys. That's right around there. He was like you know fighting. I guess I can't criticize him no more than you can because look, I'm not Canelo Alvarez and I'm not on that level. I don't know how much money he was making for fighting those other fights, and it's easy for the other guy that's in the rearview mirror saying, "Oh, he's ducking me." Bro, you're not on my radar. Canelo Alvarez was in another trajectory. He was fighting massive fights, Triple G, all kinds of stuff. He probably had fights, and these guys are all in the background saying, yes, I'm the best, and they are proving themselves. But at the same time, you really can't call that a duck when this Canelo Alvarez guy is the biggest draw in all of boxing right now. You can't just, but then right around that time it started to become a little apparent because Canelo Alvarez did wipe out the division and he just didn't fight the top guys. And the only guys that were left were the top guys. He fought Caleb Plant, and you can't take anything away from Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant, he's a good boxer in his own right. Do you think Jamel Charlo can win by um yo, what's up, brother? Look, the problem is this with this fight with Canelo Alvarez and Jamel Charlo. I want to, touch on this fight. Here's the problem. I can't tell you what Jamel Charlo looks like at 168. Now, if we were talking about a Jamel Charlo at 154, I would judge him accordingly. I don't know if he can maintain that jab all night. I don't know if he can get on his footwork and, keep that range. You see, what made Floyd Mayweather successful against a young Canelo Alvarez was that Canelo Alvarez was, I think too, you got to keep a lot of things in mind here. He was a young kid at the time. He had a lot of pressure from the Mexican, everybody, oh, you better beat this guy. You better beat this guy, You're the one. You're the one. And he just was trying to load up and hit Floyd, right? Floyd's God-given talent is he has very fast twitch muscle reflexes, right? And he's very quick. What makes Floyd Mayweather the greatest boxer, arguably, is Floyd Mayweather. It's his here, right here, that you can't teach that, okay? He knows when to mix it up, when to sit back, when to throw the punch. That's his fighting style. That's what makes him so superior. It's him. You can't build a guy like that, right? So what happens is that Jamel Charlo, he doesn't possess any of that shit. He doesn't possess the twitch muscles, the like reflex. He don't got none of that. So do I think that he can sustain it? But for how long? Let's remember that Canelo Alvarez has been in there with some of the top elite American fighters already. He's fought the Shane Mosleys, the Mayweathers. He fought, he beat undefeated champions. Let's not forget who he once was. He's getting a little older, and in boxing years, you got to think about this. Canelo Alvarez has got to be kind of old in boxing years. Just like when they say, you're this age and NBA years. You know what I'm saying? NBA legs, your knees. They say that you're much older, throughout your career, right? Canelo Alvarez is coming into this fight right now. 59 fights, 3 losses, and I think 39 knockouts, if I'm not mistaken. 59 fights. So this will be his 60th professional fight. That's a lot of miles. And for him being at such a young age, starting boxing, yeah, that's a lot on a boxer. So if you can say anything about Canelo Alvarez, if you turn around and say, in his last 3 performances, let's judge Canelo Alvarez on his last 3 performances. Let's just start there, okay? If we were to judge Canelo Alvarez on his last 3 performances, we would say, at best, we give him a C+. I'm being honest. What do you think? What would you grade him overall in his last 3 performances? He almost had that guy knocked out in the 5th round. He just didn't put him away. He didn't finish the fight. The Triple G fight, come on. Okay, so you know what I'm saying? What is your grade on Canelo Alvarez, right? So if you had to judge the fight on that, being the fact that now Canelo Alvarez is moving down more to a more suitable weight. He's going down to 168, and in order for him to make 168, that's when you got to get into that real dog-like training. You know what I'm saying? Not even a B. Yeah, not even. Well, okay, a B. Okay, now, okay. Let me show. I kind of messed that up then because now you're like thinking, where is he grading and judging it by, right? I'm judging his last three fights and who Canelo Alvarez once was. That's how I was grading it in my head. You see, the elite fighter that he once was, okay, that he was knocking people out, he was real dominant, okay? From that version of Canelo Alvarez to his last three fights, what grade do you give him? I should have said that. Okay? So you know what I mean? That's what I was basing him on. You know what I mean? I'm not saying he's a B fighter overall. No, 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 no. I'm not saying that. Or a C plus fighter. You know what I'm saying? No, 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 no. If you misunderstood me for calling Canelo Alvarez a C plus fighter, I apologize right now because I did not call him a C plus fighter. Okay? I was just saying, from the elite version of Canelo Alvarez, what on his last three performances, just on these three, what do you grade his performance overall on all last three fights? Because you know he did switch promotional companies, and he's got a new deal. So with the PBC, I think you know, look, as having a little boxing experience and being around fighters and stuff, when you gotta make the weight that you're like, okay, you're like the champion, like let's say like Devin Haney, for example. Devin Haney, everyone knows it's hard for him to make 135 now. But he does have all four belts at 135 pounds, right? Am I correct? Stay with me. He's moving up right now to challenge Regis Prograis at 140 pounds, right? Where that he can make that weight comfortably. And he's going to see how he transitions over with his power. Being the fact that he's still young as fuck. What, he's going to be about 24 years old going into that fight. He's accomplished so much in his career already. It's remarkable. It really is for such a young man. Okay? So when he goes up, hopefully he vacates those belts. But my point being that him making that weight is more comfortable. So when he's forced, let's say that they give him like this big money fight at 135, right? And he's forced to say, you know what? I gotta make that 135. When fighters get put in that situation right there, sometimes it can bring out the best of them, and in some cases it can bring out a bad performance, and you could be drained like Errol Spence Jr., where that didn't work out in his favor. And sometimes it can bring the dog out in you, and you can transition well. But being the fact that Canelo Alvarez has already fought at 168 pounds 7 times, he's well acclimated to the division. And I believe by him coming down to 168 and defending his titles, that he is the king in that division, it's going to really bring out the best in Canelo Alvarez. Now, like I said, Jamal Charlo has a big, big, big assignment ahead of him. I don't think that a lot of fight fans really truly understand what it is just to move up one weight division. And he's moving up, two weight divisions to challenge him. This is not easy. In the fight, what could happen is Jamel Charlo twitch muscle reflexes might not respond for him, and he might be in a position where that he can't turn it up the way he wants to. Okay, and case in point, it was right before your eyes. Canelo Alvarez fought Demetrius Bivol, and the thing that he said was, I felt sluggish, I couldn't turn it up. I could see his punches coming, but I just couldn't get out of the way. At that weight, he wasn't, that he hadn't fought at 175 pounds, and he moved up, daring to be great, trying to get another belt, and Demetrius Bivol stopped him in his tracks. And Canelo Alvarez soon found out what it was like just to move up 1, 2 weight divisions, how hard it is. And since he understands that, he knows the challenge that Jamel Charlo has in front of him. He knows. He knows that, look, yo, check this out. You know, it's going to be tough for you to do this. So, um, uh, okay, yeah. That right there, that special fighters can do that. I'm not saying that no one can move up in weight divisions and can't do it. Right. I'm not saying that anybody can't do it, move up in weight divisions and be successful, because there have been men and women that have moved up multiple weight divisions and have been very successful. A lot you guys know that I support Naoya anyway in this channel, and I'm a fan, right? And I know a lot about that Japanese fighter. So I when he moved up from 108 pounds and he jumped up 2 weight divisions and he fought the champion at 115, right? That was a 2 division weight jump, and he did that with ease. He made that look easy. That guy didn't even oppose a challenge. And when you have special fighters, that can do such a feat. Look, sometimes, right? A lot of people judge fighters on what they achieved. And I understand that that has a lot to do with what the fighter is waiting with, what he is judged on. That has a lot to do with it, right? But in a lot of cases, it really doesn't tell the story, okay? Because it really depends on what era, what time you came around in boxing. And I truly believe that has a lot to do with it, okay? Because, had Muhammad Ali came up in this era, how much dominated a champion would he have been? Would he have been better? Would he have been worse? There are a lot of people that came up in different times and eras and just didn't get their opportunity. Mayweather could have been a more dominant champion. He was a way better boxer, but in the boxing, circles, he was what we consider a high risk fight. Mayweather wasn't the type of fight that you wanted to fight against, and take that shot. So he never really unified any of the titles. And back in his time, corruption ran really rampant in boxing in that time. Mike Tyson's time, those kind of eras. Man, Don King and those boys, man, they were like running through boxing, man. And it was just like, there was a lot going on. It's a little bit tougher now to do things, but boxing is still the Wild Wild West. Don't get me wrong. You know, um, there was a hometown fighter recently that just had a fight from my hometown, Worcester. Ortiz, Jamie Ortiz. Jamie Ortiz just went 10 rounds. And in that fight, I went to the gym today and I was talking to some of the guys, and they were saying, well, Jamie looked like this and he's like this. And I quickly said, listen, the reason why Jamie Ortiz looked like that against that guy, because the more he goes up, the level and quality of his opponents. He can't just go in there and doing these little things and catching these guys, right? His competition is getting better. And this performance that he put on was great. It was a great performance. And hats off to the kid. So listen, Shakur Stevenson right now. He's making headlines right now, and like, tell me what you think about Shakur Stevenson, and Devin Haney. Do you think they should fight. Do you think that? Do you honestly think that the Americans are gonna put Devin Haney against Shakur Stevenson like that, rather than them trying to get Shakur Stevenson to also be a champion at 135? Shall Devin Haney be successful against Rege Proje, which that fight is scheduled for December 9th? Okay, so the Devin Haney's gonna fight him at 140. And then on the horizon on 140, they already got it set up. You heard it first at Round One Sports Talk, right? Devin Haney, if he's successful at 140, I believe he will vacate. But he has a massive showdown and a big payday with a unification fight against Teofimo Lopez. And I see that on the horizon. Tank Davis, his name ain't even going to come into the equation. And even though Tank Davis got this little fight with Isa Pitbull Cruz, I don't think Tank Davis really wants this fight. I don't want. Why would Tank Davis want to fight Eastside Pitbull Cruz again? We've already seen that fight. You know what I'm saying? Then Tank Davis is gonna break his hand again, hitting him off his forehead. But I think Tank Davis is gonna stop him in this fight. But he has to do what now the sanctioning bodies are ordering him to do, because Eastside Pitbull Cruz won a title eliminator, which gave him the right to fight the champion. The champion's not available. The champion's out getting a belt at 140. So who's that fall on? The interim champion. It falls on Tank Davis to answer that now. That's how boxing politics work. So now Tank Davis, he either has to vacate the belt, which you all know by vacating the belt, Isa Pitbull Cruz is going to say, look, he ducked me. He was scared. He rather than fighting me, vacate. Yo, bro, Tank Davis is not gonna do that. So now Tank Davis is backed into a corner where he has to fucking fight Eastside Pitbull Cruz again. You see? And Tank Davis, need not remind you, 29 years old, only one world title at 130. The other two, 135, 140, two interim world titles. But the game plan for Tank Davis has many. Look, before you criticize the fact that, there's 4 belts and there's interim belts, right? Like me, I want them to do away a lot with a lot of these interim belts. And I want you to tell me what you think about what I'm about to say. Before you say, yo, we should do away with all these interim belts and they shouldn't be 4 belts. There should be 1 belt. It should be 1 belt. It should be 1 champion. That's it. That way there's no confusion, right? Well, look what's going on right now when one guy has all 4 belts. Technically, isn't that guy just 1 champion? Isn't that guy, technically, you could only, if you beat him, you might obtain 4 belts, but you only got to beat him once, right? So technically, it's like, and that's the problem right there. That one guy, if he pulls this off, that's why the sanctioning bodies separated and made separate entities and created different organizations or different world titles to give other fighters opportunity, because there's so many fighters. You see? So you can have the 4 regular champions, which was what they started off with a pure heart. The organizations wanted to give you, which it actually was 3 belts, right? Because the WBO got recognized in 2014, right? Okay, so it was actually 3. So once they came out and made the 3 belts, they saw that they were making money, but there was a lot more money to be made. So their greedy little hands and minds came together and they started making interims. And boy, did they start pushing out them interim belts. They started pumping them interim belts out. And for each one of those interim belts, fighters got to pay sanctioning fees. They got to pay ties to the organization for holding that. You see, because this is how boxing works. That's their world title, the organization, the WBO, the WBC, right? They provide their ring, their cameras, their boxing notoriety, their world stage. And if you're lucky to obtain it, they will provide their world title. If you are happen to get your hand on a world title, you're at your job. You're working, right? And you're not famous without that belt. You try it on your own. Say that you don't need the WBC, the WBO, and the IBF, and go off and fight for another belt. And see if you become that world champion and you get on social media and go, hey, I'm a world champion. See what they say. Without them, they're not going to give you the world stage. You see? And that's why you got to pay ties to the organizations. You see? The belts are not free. For instance, if you didn't know this, Devin Haney fought George Camboza, and they paid Devin Haney to go to Australia $2.3 million for the fight. When he won the fight and he won all four belts, he paid $350,000 in fees for the four belts. He only made 2.3 million. Now let's think about this. If Devin Haney made 2.3 million in that fight, Uncle Sam comes and takes almost half of that. Uncle Sam, the government, is going to, out of the $2.3 million, to be honest with you, he'll see about maybe 1.7, $1.9 million out of the 2.3. That's what Devin Haney will get back. Out of that 1.7, 1.9, he also has to pay his coach, his trainers, the cut man. He has to pay all the, everything else the promotional company will take care of, right? They put that money up front. Your hotels, your limousines, everything. The promotional company's putting all the money up. Your flight to the fight, you don't pay any of that money. The promotional company is gambling on the fact that they're going to make that on the back end, right? So you already agreed to this much. So no matter what you agree to, that's why your management has to put these things into play. Had Devin Haney had said in his contract, yo, listen, I'll take the 2.3, but you guys got to pay the sanctioning fees if I win. If that was stated in the contract, then they would have to pay for it. But he never said that. So Devin Haney had to come out of pocket. So he basically, when he was basically telling the world, listen, I went to Australia really daring to be great, Devin Haney made $5 million the previous fight before George Camboza. He goes to fight for four belts and he only gets 2.3 million. And then he barely got any of that money. It was probably merely nothing what he probably ended up with in the end. He probably ended up with less than $1 million, I bet, in the end when he took his share, Devin Haney, if you want to be honest, okay? And Devin and George Camboza didn't get no $10 million, man. He didn't, quiet as kept, he didn't get that. But he got close to it. He got close to it, from what I hear. So, look, when the box sanctioning bodies give you these opportunities and you're fighting for these world titles and you're making these contracts and you're fighting big fights like Canelo Alvarez, which is the biggest draw in all of boxing, the second fighter that currently right now that is making more, just about the same money, is Tank Davis. It goes Canelo Alvarez, as in money. It goes Canelo Alvarez, Tank Davis, Terrence Crawford, right? And watch out that Terrence Crawford, it ain't slowly coming around Tank Davis, but Tank Davis got a nice hold on that. I think he's in the next fight, he might even get bigger. So I don't see Terrence Crawford passing Tank Davis. So, those are like the big money fighters right now that we have today in present time. So this Canelo Alvarez fight stands to be real interesting. Now, a big fight and another fighter that I'm always promoting is the Japanese fighter Naoya Inoue. Naoya Inoue, he has a big fight coming up, a unification fight with Tapales. Now, Tapales, being the one that holds the WBA and the IBF. Naoya Inoue holds the WBC and the WBO. Okay, now, look, this is another case of what I was just talking about And it's a coincidence that it's happening right now in the Naoya Inoue Tapales situation. Tapales' promotional company has been criticized in the past for being a little greedy. They've been trying to like get the fighters. And the thing is with the promotional company, like back in the day with like Don King and Bob Arum. Bob Arum is a G for a reason, right? Yo, Bob Arum will come negotiate the fight for $10 million. He'll come back to your locker room and tell you 1.2 million. And he'll pocket like 9 or 8 because that's what a promotional company's supposed to do. They're putting up all the money. They're putting up all the risk. Bob Arum, before you even got in the ring, probably put up $2-3 million for you. Okay, for the event. And man, to rent out Madison Square Garden, it costs $100,000 just to turn on the lights. And that's a Madison Square Garden main event fight. If you fight in the Garden in Boston and Top Rank Bob Arum, that's where he usually likes to hold his fights, in Madison Square Garden. So if you fight in the Mecca, man, you made it in boxing. So when Bob Arum and those kind of guys, they're pushing out that kind of money, they want to see a good return. So he might schedule a fight for 10 million, but you're gonna get 1.2 million. So Naoya Inoue and Tapales right now are in deep negotiations. They have scheduled that lunch meeting. Now, as far as I'm aware, I try to get something back on it. It's a lot of hush hush. No one's really saying what happened or what took place. Now, I heard a couple guys did say some things, but I'm not going to be the one that reports on that because that is not a reliable source for me. I can't take what this guy is saying right now. I've seen some people come up on YouTube and make a couple announcements, but I'm not going to back that up because that's just copy, paste, and print. And we don't do that here at Round One Sports Talk. We only talk facts. And if that's not a fact, then how the hell am I going to say it? So I really don't know nothing about it. I'm hoping that they made negotiations and everything went right. The thing is that, Naoya Inoue, I was going to say he's still in camp training, but that man is always in camp training. But Tapala is still in the LA. So his promotional company right now is paying for that for him to be out there. All the days in the hotel, they're not paying for that for free. You got to understand that they're already investing money in Tapales right now to fight who? Tapales ain't got no big money name. He ain't got nowhere else. He ain't got nowhere to run. Where does he stand to make that kind of money? With who? With who? They can be bluffing for a little bit, but to tell you the truth, at the end of the day, Tapales needs the Japanese fighter. If I'm going to be honest, because if the Japanese fighter Naoya Inoue does not fight Tapales, he still does have a lot of options. He has better. He has more options. He can do basically anything. What if he jumps up to 126? What if he jumps up to 126 pounds, right? And just says, fuck it, I'll fight the champion there. And starts another, shot at it. You don't know. You don't know because the way he made it look was kind of scary if you think about it. No tune-up fight, no acclimating to the division. The Japanese fighter just moves up and fights the top 122-pound champion in the world. It wasn't like when Terrence Crawford fought Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford, before they met, Terrence Crawford fought 8 times. 7 times. The 8th fight was Errol Spence Jr. But he had already fought 7 times at 147 pounds. He was considered legitimately a top rank 147 pounder. You know what I mean? And the way that Japanese kid just moved up, and then all the criticism that, Stephen Kubo Fulton's going to be too big. He's going to be too fast. He's going to be able to control the Japanese fighter. The Japanese fighter is going to affect a much bigger man at this weight. What he was doing to those smaller guys, that punch ain't going to do what he's going to do now. And he did exactly that. It was nothing. It was kind of eerie. And if you ask me, he didn't look like the smaller guy in there. He didn't look like the smaller guy. He didn't look like Naoya Inoue. It was mad small than Stephen Kubo Fulton. They look pretty like boom. And height, reach advantage. Look, this kid is truly special. And I think that, you know, he has other options where that Tapales does not. So they need to stop messing around with Naoya Inoue before he skips him by and somebody else beats Tapales for those belts, and then Naoya Inoue spins the block and comes back and retrieves those belts. And he misses out on a big payday because his promotional company are being a bunch of greedy and they need to recognize that, if he wants to dare to be great, sometimes fighter, listen, let me tell you something right now, and let's just stop right here. Right? Let's get the likes up. If there are 9 people watching, at least let's get 9 likes, right? Let's get them likes up. Look, I want stop right there because of this. Let's not act like Tapales doesn't have a puncher's chance here. Let's not act like Tapales doesn't have 2 belts. He has 2 belts for a reason. Okay, he is, look, he's a Filipino fighter, the Manny Pacquiao. Okay, he's been around the block a lot. Tapales has been in the game. He's well seasoned. Okay, he is a crafty fighter. Okay, and as we can see, you know what I'm saying, that on any given night, anybody can show up. And that's why we have upsets. I tell you right now, you know, look, I don't want to be biased, okay? Because being biased means that I would just only hear the side of one fighter, Naoya Inoue. And I would just be like, no, Naoya, he's just going to wipe him down. I don't want to do that. Naoya Inoue, in my heart, like if I was just like a fan of him, Naoya is going to wipe Tapales down, bro, as a fan. But being unbiased, I would have to also keep what Tapales brings to the table. And if I'm being honest here, Tapales brings a lot to the table. Those kind of fighters right there sometimes are really underestimated. Those durable Filipino type fighters, like those Mexican fighters, the kind of guys that can turn it up in the later rounds, and where his sheer ferocity and pressure can break some fighters such as skilled as a Naoya Inoue. Tapales opposes a real threat, and listen, for one, he's a champion. So coming into this fight, he's not coming into this fight saying, I want to get paid, I'm gonna get knocked out, give him my belt. He's coming in there saying, yo, I think I can do this. I think I can beat this little Japanese dude. So you gotta give Tapales, his you got to look at what he brings. So I really think that Tapales is a threat. The only thing is that now I have to do Naoya Inoue's side, and I believe Naoya Inoue is way too far superior and skilled, and he just has too much power. Where that, yes, Tapales' forward attack and pressure could break other fighters that don't have the power to back him up. That's the difference between Naoya Inoue and a lot of other fighters. That if he tries that forward presser shit, it might backfire on him because Naoya Inoue will give him something for coming forward. And he will use Tapales and turn him into a punching bag. That's what's going to end up happening. He's going to brutalize Tapales' body and head until Tapales drops that hand just enough for his sharpshooting. He's just gonna snipe him, and and that's what I see. But Tapales is powerful. He has a puncher's chance, and if we've seen time and time again in boxing or in any combat sports, that one time it takes that one shot, and then all of a sudden you see the legs go under and they buckle, like Anthony Joshua. Listen, when Anthony Joshua knocked out Ruiz, right? The first time when he hit him with that shot, it was so sharp. He missed him with the big shot. I dare you to go back and watch the tape, right? Anthony Joshua actually misses him with the punch he wanted to hit him with. He threw the right hand and he missed John Ruiz with that one. When he came back and John Ruiz was swinging back into the punches, when he threw the hook and he dropped him, right? Okay. When he got up and he hit him with that shot that he had Anthony Joshua right here, back of the ear, his equilibrium went. You saw the feet give out. And you saw that, when that happens, your mind is saying, yeah, I'm ready to go. But your feet are like, oh, fuck that, I'm out of here. And they're checking out. And you're like, your feet are doing the salsa, right? And you're like, wait a minute, I'm up here, right? It's a crazy feeling, right? If you've never experienced it, right? And some guys can recover from it, but everyone is different. And it was apparent that Anthony Joshua couldn't recover from such a punch. You know, and sometimes punches like that can alter a fight. If Tapales catches Naoya Inoue with a shot like that, and he's not able to be covered. But one thing about the Japanese fighter Naoya Inoue, he has been battle tested. Although he has won the majority of the rounds he's ever faced, which is truly remarkable, for 25 fights, bro, I'm telling you, I dare you to go do it. This guy won like the majority of his rounds. It's incredible, right? He has been battle tested. When he fought Donito Donaire, that Donito Donaire broke his orbital bone and caught him with a few big shots. That punch he hit, Naoya Inoue would have knocked out most men. And some men would have folded with their orbital bone broken. Guaranteed. There are men in this life that would have threw in the towel a long time ago. Right? Okay. That Japanese fighter kept going. Okay. And that proves to his pedigree as a boxer and as a fighter. Some fighters, you ever see a fight and you can see it on the fighter's face, he no longer wants to be there anymore. He's not having fun. He's getting beat up. He doesn't even believe in his corner anymore. At that point in the fight, he doesn't even believe in his own training. He's lost. And I've seen that in fighters. Fighters are good when they're showboating, and it's good when you're winning. But when your chin is tested in a fight, I'll tell you who you are. I'll tell you what you're made of. Okay? When you have been dropped in a fight, okay, and you go back to your corner and you're shaking it off and you need time and you come back in that fight victoriously, I'll tell you what you're made of. Okay? So that's what I'm talking about. When, I talk about this, that Tapales does have a chance with a big shot, but this Japanese fighter has been put in situations where that his pedigree, his boxing, his lying heart was tested, and he answered the call. Not only when he got hit with those big shots, if you want to watch for yourself, he also came back and won the round. In the rounds where he was hurt the most in the fight, what's mostly impressive, that when guys are hurt that bad in a round, they usually fall back because they don't want to engage because they just got hurt big. So they kind of take the round off and accept it, and they fall back in a defensive position. This guy gets hurt and ends up winning the round. That tells you a lot about him. That speaks volume. They got their round. Look, I think that he has been tested. I think that Naoya Inoue and Tapales does have a puncher's chance. I do think. But if he lands that shot on him, I do believe that Naoya Inoue is well trained and well seasoned, that if he doesn't just get knocked out flat out cold, I think he has the skills and the capability to shake it off. The one thing about the most elite fighters in the world, if you didn't notice this or pay attention to this, that you're not going to hit them with the same shot twice the same night in that same fight. You're not going to hit Floyd Mayweather with that same punch twice in the same fight. As Sugar Shane Mosley found out. Sugar Shane Mosley rocked him with that shot that Mayweather had to grab his hand. And that shot that he hit him, he never landed it the rest of the fight. He threw it, it just never landed. And with the Naoya Inoue kid, Jonito Donaire hit him with that hook that broke his orbital bone, but he only hit him with the hook one time. That right there in that spot. Had he ever had the ability to hit him again, he would have opened that eye up a lot. That eye would have been way split like this. You ever see in fights where the guy's cut starts off like this big, right? And you know that the guy's been hitting again because the fight ends and the cut's this big, right? So that means the guy's been targeting the cut. This Japanese kid gets the cut, the cut is this big. The fight ends, mind you, he got the cut in the second round. The cut's this big in the second round. The fight went 12 rounds. At the end of the fight, the cut was this big. It didn't move. He didn't hit him again in that eye. That's how the greats and the elites are. If you hit this kid with a big shot, you're not going to hit him again with a big shot. That's the problem. So in this fight, Tapales is going to have to really dig into the bag of tricks. Because if we're thinking that Tapales is going to outpoint the Japanese guy, you're not going to convince me that's going to happen. So I don't think he's going to outpoint him. So what's the strategy coming into the fight? Okay, so if he's not going to outpoint him, the pressure. Okay, and we talked about this. If he pressures Naoya Inoue, difference between him and much other fighters, he has a lot of power. Can he sustain that much power? So far, no one has been able to stand in front of him and take his punches like that. Stephen Kubo Fulton was criticizing the fight for being, not himself in the fight. And I say, no, that was the best version of Stephen Kubo Fulton we have ever seen. Is that Naoya Inoue shut him down. He truly shut him down. He was timid by the second round to open up because he knew if he opened up, the Japanese fighter was just that much faster and he had a lot coming back. The reason why you didn't see Stephen Kubo Fulton open up is because he knew something was going to come back. And he obviously felt those punches, man. The Japanese fighter was just, he was just too much. So that's why I say, if Tapales is not going to outpoint him, and he's not going to really come in with the pressure, where's his attack? What does he think? He's going to be mid-range? He can't be all the way... Well, he can be all the way out. And then he can explode if the Japanese fighter comes in. And punch when Naoya Inoue punches. You see? If Tapales can stay all the way out and stay on the outside of Naoya Inoue's punches, where that he doesn't allow his speed to become too much of a factor because he's on the outside of it. You see? Now, Naoya would have to step in a little. Now, in between the step in, Tapales needs to give him something right in between that time right there. And then forward pressure him. Naoya Inoue can fight going backwards too, though. He hasn't had to fight going backwards, and I haven't seen him going backwards, and a lot of European fighters and Japanese fighters have been criticized for not being able to fight going backwards too much. Now, Naoya Inoue is a well-seasoned fighter. Like, okay, case in point, for instance, in the Gervonta Tank Davis fight against the Aztec Warrior there, right? In that fight, I don't know what round it was exactly. I think it was I want to say the 6th round when he fought Mario Barrio, the Aztec Warrior. I think it was the 6th round or the 5th round. And listen to Tank Davis's coach, Calvin Ford. Calvin Ford tells Tank Davis he can't fight going to his right. And he can't fight going backwards. Right? And in the fight, when you watch the fight, it was apparent he couldn't fight going to his right. Meaning a lot of fighters train and they like going this way and they work going this way. They circle away from the power. They start training and they focus on training this way, but they don't fight going this way. So when it's time to adjust, they only have 1 or 2 movements. They shift their legs, go this way, and position back to the way they feel comfortable. If you can get your fighter retrieving going this way, he's lost. He doesn't know how to fight from his right. And that was a big flaw. You see, a good coach will see that. You see? So when Naoya Inoue, when you're building a game plan to beat him, that's how I think. I'm thinking, how the hell you got to think with what you're working with. You can't think about how to beat him how you would want to in fantasy land, because then you just be making up a fighter. No, you can only beat him with what Tapales' skill level is. That's what you're working with. You can't turn Tapales into Floyd Mayweather. It's not going to happen. So you would have to develop a plan, right? A fight plan that is going to cater to your guy, and that's what I'm judging it on. That's what I'm catering it on. How the hell is Tapales going to stop him, man? Naoya Inoue is far too seasoned to fall for feints or traps. He's not gonna allow you to allow him into anything. There's nothing you're gonna bring to the table he hasn't seen. I mean, it was supposed to be that, the slick style of the American black fighters was going to present them. But I got to be honest with you, Stephen Kubo Fulton is not the best version of the black fighters we have. No, he ain't no fucking Terrence Crawford, I tell you that much. So, and there's just a lot of other fighters that are coming up that are, and some young guys that are coming up too. But for right now, that's Fantasy Island. What does Tapales bring? What the hell is he gonna do? Okay, that's why they want all this money, because they're saying, hey, listen, if we're gonna take this ass whooping, you better pay us accordingly. Pay us then, pay us. And which brings case in point, and one valid point I want to bring to the table. I want to just bring one more point to all this belt situation. Okay, look. Boxing realized that it was better for business for all the organizations to start to get along. They had to get a lot of these promotional and management companies to start to coincide with each other and start to pushing their egos to the side, okay? In order for boxing to start to make dollars and cents again, and for the fans to tune in and start watching. They started noticing that the UFC really was making some noise, and they took a large piece of the fight fans with them. Okay, in order for boxing to bring eyes back to the boxing world, they had to give you the best fighting the best. And the boxing promotional companies had to stop messing around. And they did that. They turned around and they started giving us some hell of a fights. Now, Errol Spence Jr. is scheduled to fight Terrence Crawford again, and I'm not sure I really wanted to watch that fight again, because I do believe, in my hearts of hearts, that we will see a better version of Errol Spence Jr. But I still think that Terrence Crawford may be victorious in this fight. I think he took much more than Errol Spence Jr. in that fight than just a victory, and we'll talk about that at another time. So, I believe that boxing and the sanctioning bodies, they're all starting to realize this, and they're making it a little bit more easier for these fighters to obtain a lot of these world titles. Case in point, Terrence Crawford just unified all four belts in two separate weight divisions. And on September 30th, Jamel Charlo and Canelo Alvarez will fight. And one of those men, which will be Jamel's Iron Man Charlo, I like to call him Lion Man, will win all 8 belts. And he stands to be the first man in history to obtain 8 belts simultaneously. I kid you not. Okay, I'm going to tell you how impressive that is. If I was to ever win and be the man to win 8 belts, let me tell you something, people. I swear this on everything I love. I you would I would wear all 8 of those belts for like a week straight, no matter what I did in my life, any interview, anything. You would have to address me or talk to me. That's all I would wear. I'd be like just clothes and then just wrap the 8 belts around me. I would lose my mind. Okay? I would think I was the baddest thing on the world. You couldn't tell me nothing. Listen, I would be eating in a restaurant with my girl sitting in front of me, and I'd have people holding my belts around me. I'd be like, please pass the salt. Like this. Yo, no, like listen, I would lose my mind, right? So, and then you have the Japanese fighter, Naoya Inoue, standing to be another fighter that can do such a feat. Whether he stands to be an well, if the second or the third, I don't want to jinx Jamel Charlo, to unify all 4 belts in 2 separate weight divisions. The thing about Terrence Crawford, time is not on his side. And he is 36 years old, and we do not know, and I'm not sure how much more he can put on his resume. I think he can put on a few more title defenses, and those will count as a title defense for all 4 belts. Okay, so I think he can put a couple of those notches on his belt. But I'm not sure if he can put much more at this point in his career. Being the fact that just because you can say Terrence Crawford is going to accomplish much more, you better remember about all those killers that they left behind them. Jerron Boots Ennis wants a shot. Those are the kind of men he's going to have to stay undefeated against at this age and this late in the game. There are some people that are waiting in the whim, waiting for a shot at those belts. It's not as easy as you think it is. How much longer can Terrence Crawford dare to be great and sacrifice his O? He's got to understand at some point there's a new generation coming up the back door right now, and they're kicking down that door. So, that's why I say, it's easy for you to say, oh no, Terrence Crawford, he got another 10 years in him. He got another. No, he does not. No, he does not. But Naoya Inoue does. Naoya Inoue is 30 years old. He's got into his 35. That's 5 more years. After 35, we are talking about now Terrence Crawford's age. And Terrence Crawford's right here. And you're saying that he got more fights. Think about it. So he's got like six more years before he even gets to Terrence Crawford, where you're arguing that Terrence Crawford can still do so much more. And then now you ain't a way finally gets there, and according to you guys, he can do so much more. You see? So that's why I don't see Terrence Crawford caught catching Floyd, but that's why I bring it back to the beginning of my conversation, that a lot of fighters are judged and merit now by the things that they accomplish in their accolades. And I do understand that has a big thing to do with your freaking career. I mean, that's basically your fucking career. But there has been a lot of fighters that have been dominant world champions, but they just stood in their own division. They just made 40, 30 successful title defenses in that weight category. And because that man never moved up in weight, how can you leave him out of the conversation when he was so dominant in his division? He just wasn't his God didn't bless him with the ability to carrying a bigger frame so that he can move up comfortably. Maybe that he was maxed out where he was and he couldn't move up, and he fought his career in one division. That's what I'm trying to say. You can't just be like, oh, this guy moved up 3 divisions. This guy got 4 belts here, but nah, man. And I keep that in the back of my mind, that there are guys out there that are good and great. They just didn't do that. So that was basically this whole thing, the belts. What do you think? Do you think at the end of the day, I mean, like I said, yeah, it has to do with your fucking record, man, what you achieve. But if your dominance in a division was longer, that should be able to go against how many belts you won. Meaning, if you were in a division for 15 years, undefeated, no one's beat you, you got all four belts, and you were just straight lining it in that division, well then, that's a big haul. And then you got guys where Nayo Yainaway was three real quick, like, and it's impressive. It's impressive. So, where do you measure your fighter? And at the end of the day, who is your best fighter at the top of your list? Who do you consider the best fighter in the world of all time? Now, some people may judge fighters by a popularity contest, like the greats, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson. Ali was great because he was truly amazing and he was ahead of his time for what he did inside of the ring. But he also made a big following, and he has a lot of big moments outside of the sport, which really catapulted his notoriety throughout the world. And sometimes people confuse the two. I like to judge the fighter on what they did inside of the ring, not the event itself, because the event's not fighting for you. When he went to Zaire, to Africa to fight George Foreman, and it was a spectacle of an event. And it was a lot of people, and it got a lot of eyes, but it's what he did in the ring that separated him from being great. That's what made Ali great. It's what he did in the ring. Okay? So sometimes some people judge their best fighter by the brutalness of the fight. Meaning, you might like a fighter like Manny Pacquiao. You might say that Manny Pacquiao is the greatest fighter that ever lived. And I could see why you would say that. Because your version of a fight is no fucking running, bro. Come on, stand here and let's go. Let's bang. That's what the fire that fuels you as a fighting fan. You have that kind of fire. Some other fighters love the sweet science, the chess moves. Those fighters can be a little boring sometimes, but that guy's not throwing for a reason, and this guy's not throwing for a reason, and they're not making so many mistakes for reasons because they're on the same level. They are fighting at an elite level. Do you like that kind? Is that your version of the best fighter in the world? Or is the best fighter in the world an underdog for you? Can he be like a Mickey Rourke? You know what I mean? Like those kind of fights. Listen, those Mickey Rourke fights took me out of my seat. I'm gonna tell you right now, Arturo Gatti, that was a fighter's fighter. When Arturo Gatti fought, I was glued to the TV. Man, you knew you were gonna see blood. You knew it. It was like, we want blood, and he gave it to you. Wow, was he an exciting fighter? Is that your version of the best fighter? Do you judge your fighter by what standards are you holding him by? And why? You know, do you like power punchers, skill fighters? You know what I'm saying? Did you like the little guy? Do you like the big brutes of the sport? You know, and I would like to hear, who's your greatest fighter? Individually, everybody. I want to hear comments from everybody. I want to, and I'm not gonna judge you. Why? And they ask you a question. Hey, why is he your greatest fighter? No, that's your greatest fighter. Had that's your best. That's your fighter. I just want to know. You know, um, one of my best fighters I'll share with you of all time. I have a soft spot for him. I really don't like to hear a lot of people talk about him, and I don't even like to hear say this because it kind of leaves me vulnerable to it, right? But I've kind of matured over the years, and I'm not gonna go crazy, so you're not gonna get me to lure in anything. But one of my favorite fighters of all time is Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson, man, he was my man, bro. Growing up, he just did something every time with every knockout, with every win. He just the next day I would go wake up, leave my house. Did you see Tyson knock that man yo, it was just, and we was all on the bus stop. We was just crying like, he trying to get out. Tyson's a beast. And we, listen, it was just a remarkable era. And the U.S. had the heavyweight championship of the world, and that was our guy. And I just want to leave my story right there. We all know what happened to Mike Tyson. I'm gonna stop right there because I like to remember Mike as Mike. You know, and that's my fighter, man. Above any other fighter, but it's just because I guess I was raised during that time, maybe. I don't know. Um, and he was just a force to reckon with, right? That's Mike, for God's sake, right? You gotta watch out. You walk up on Mike right now, yeah. you know. So, like, yeah, I got a soft spot for Mike, man. Man, I don't even want to get into it because I believe he could. But so who's your favorite fighter? Who's your guy that there's just that one, as always, he's just gonna be that one, man. He's my favorite fighter of all time. Ah, George Floyd was better. Listen, there's no D Nice here. There's only A Ron in the house. A Ron. There's D Nice. She left. I don't know, with Balake or something. So anyway, look, that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today. The upcoming fight, September 30th. I'm gonna be streaming the Canelo Alvarez fight. There were a couple good fights that we had. There are a couple big names being thrown around. Dante Wilder being one of them. It's rumored that already twice his opponent already twice, just like Shakur Stevenson and Frank Martin, how that fell apart. And now Frank Martin is rumored that he's leaving Derrick James camp. I don't really know how much that's true, because just because you go and you train they see you with another gym or something, that doesn't technically mean that he left Derrick James. He could also be looking for other assistance and other things. Derrick James has some big fights ahead of him, and he has a freaking rematch he has to honor. So, Derrick James, he's kind of full, but that's his coach. He's got to make time for him, and that's what happens when you have some big star celebrities inside of one gym and you're only one guy. Derrick James has a couple assistants here and there, but it's basically him. He does all the pad work. If you didn't know that. Yeah, he's not like this big. So anyway, and then Shakur Stevenson, right? Now is scheduled to fight Edwin De Los Santos. So now where does that lie him? Is this another title eliminator bullshit thing? Probably they're gonna probably attach some shit to it, right? It's gonna be for probably some interim title, I bet. I guarantee it. You know what I mean? So look, yeah, there's a lot of interesting situations. I've been digging up on some of the biggest fights right now, and the fights that are in fact going to happen is the Mel Charlo with Canelo's against Saul Canelo Alvarez, and then Devin Haney is scheduled on December 9th against Regis Prograis. That's penciled in there too, because box ticket masters are that the fight is penciled in when they start selling tickets to the fight, show it. That's how sometimes I get to see if the fight's for real, because they start posting tickets. So yeah, so those two fights are coming up right around the corner. Those look real interesting. So let me know what you think, and please, like always, like, subscribe to the videos, and whoa, let me see. Hold up, who's here? What? I don't understand that comment. That that one kind of got me. I have no idea. I know I can barely see the comments and they're kind of like blurry to me right now as it is because I don't got my glasses on. But I know that shit don't make no sense. Man, Tank is that guy, bro. But GOAT, I would have to say Floyd. Well, it can be GOAT status, you know what I'm saying? Or it can just be your favorite fighter. That's what I was just saying. It didn't have to be that he had to be a legendary or a GOAT. You know, your fighter could have been like, one of my favorite fighters was like Trinidad, Felix Trinidad. I loved Felix Trinidad, man. Hector Camacho, man. Bro, those were the guys, my dude. Man, I love them dudes, man. Edwin Rosario, you know, those man, like when Felix Trinidad boxed, man, bro, you should have seen my house, bro. There was all kinds of Spanish flags jumping around, rice and bean in it. People was playing the congas and everything. It was crazy. It was a great time when that man was fighting. You know, there's a lot of great fighters that I liked. That was real, like, but like my greatest, and I'm not saying that Mike Tyson was the best heavyweight in the world. No, I'm just saying that Mike Tyson was my favorite fighter of all time. You know, he's my favorite, and that's what I was asking. Like, who is your all-time fighter? The GOAT, obviously. Yeah, I could rock with Floyd. I could rock with Floyd with that because at the end of the day, the reason that makes go Floyd the argument is not the 50-0. It doesn't matter that he has 50 fights and he's undefeated. That doesn't make Floyd Mayweather the GOAT. It doesn't matter that he has 5 divisions or he has 5 divisions and that he captured world titles and that does not make Floyd Mayweather the GOAT. There's other men that have done that. What makes Floyd Mayweather the GOAT is the basic concept of boxing and the art of boxing and the rules. Those are the rules going into every fight. To hit your opponent with making him miss. Whoever went through their entire career, which he went a 20-year career, on statistically, on paper, he got hit the fewest in his career. That's what makes Floyd Mayweather the GOAT. It isn't his titles. It isn't his undefeated record. It isn't the money he made. It isn't any of those things. It's that the boxing people, the boxing guys like the Hall of Fame and these people, the boxing geniuses, they really they're not getting on a podcast arguing debates. They're just factoring facts. And they're looking at it like, bro, we need to like really nitpick to see when they actually punch this guy in the face. And he truly did it like in a remarkable fashion. That's what makes him the GOAT. Ali been in wars. Ali got punch drunk. He been in wars. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these fighters were in wars. They all bleeding everything. Manny Pacquiao's been in war, eye split, knocked out. He's been defeated 5 times and he even lost to Floyd. But yet, in some people's eyes, he's better than Floyd. And I can respect it because that's their opinion. But the reality of it all is, name me one boxer that did it and got hit less and was undefeated and multiple division world champions. Then those things start to play at the back end. Okay, he did it this good. Where was his level of competition? Floyd Mayweather fought 21 world champions. He didn't fight fucking guys that just rolled out of bed. These guys consecutively, like, he beat world champion after world champion after world champion. If you didn't have a world champion, he wasn't fighting you. That's how it was. Like, it was so fucking dominant. He was crazy. He was truly one of the fighters, right, that in the peak and the height of his career, when I watched Floyd Mayweather fight against Arturo Gatti, I cringed for the one of the first times ever watching a boxing match. Like I was literally, I remember I was a young man. I was watching a fight, and I was like, damn, stop the fight, bro. He beat, and that was the first time that I actually noticed that I've ever. I put this into my head. Wow, Arturo Gatti is the WBC world champion of the world, and he didn't land one punch. Like he didn't. It was in the rounds. Some rounds were going by, and he didn't land a punch. How could you be a WBC world champion of the world and you can't even touch the guy that's in front of you? Who the fuck gave you a belt? Like this, like and that's how dominant he was. And Arturo Gatti is a fucking fighter. That motherfucker is one of them knockdown, draw fighter, drag out fighter type dudes, man. He got no quit in him. And Mayweather made him quit. He made him quit. He made him miss. He took his belt. It was crazy. And that at that point, Mayweather had to make a decision where that he had to let guys hit him a little, so that he can give the impression that there would be there's an opportunity of beating him. He was so good that probably his corner or maybe him, he said, bro, if I keep going out there and I don't let nobody hit me and move, and I stay on the outside all night, nobody's going to come see your fights, Floyd. Nobody's going to think that they can even come to you. Floyd, you're going to have to let this guy hit you. And then all of a sudden, Mosley, bam! And the world went crazy. And them ticket sales went off the roof. Because they was like, wait a minute. If he did it, someone's going to do it. And Floyd knew the whole time no one was going to do it. Because that man was truly unique, bro. You know? So, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Um, no, look. Yeah, that's what I was when I was talking earlier in the video. That's what I was trying to like talk about, like just your greatest fighter, like who like really brought you out of your seat, who gave you those wow moments, like what has boxing done for you, like when you saw some fights. There's boxing matches that I just can't stop thinking about, even like I can't believe sometimes. Um, there were moments in sport that were like just that big, like case in point, when Felix Trinidad, Felix Trinidad fought against that big mouth Argentinian dude. He had the cigarette. What was it? I wanted to choke that guy. I didn't like him so much. I don't even want to repeat his name, right? He was like a fly on the wall, that guy. He talked so much shit. I was so nervous for Felix Trinidad coming into that fight. I remember. And Felix drops him in the first round too. And they went back and forth, you know what I'm saying? When he fought Vargas, when Felix Trinidad fought Vargas, that was a big fight too. And Felix dropped him twice, and then Vargas comes back and drops him. I was mad nervous in that fight. Those are kind of fights that really like stood in the back of my mind. Those were my Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvelous Hagler moments. When Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvelous Hagler, and all them other dudes, I was just a little bit too young, to understand what was happening, why my dad was jumping up and down, my uncles. I might have been like watching the fight or whatever, but I didn't really appreciate the magnitude of the fight. I didn't know it. And in my era, my guys were the Mike Tysons and the Felix Trinidads. And that's when I really got captivated by boxing and I embraced it. And I started to support my favorite fighter, my favorite boxer. And that's when I would get nervous before the fight, watching my favorite fighter into the ring. And I would have butterflies in my stomach, like if I was in there wanting to fight, and that's when I really got to appreciate boxing. And there was a lot of big moments in the in boxing, but not like this year right here alone. This year alone has been truly, boxing has really blessed us. You know, um, you know, Tank Davis has already fought twice. Joshua's already fought twice. Errol Spence Jr., Terrence Crawford went by. Naoya Inoue fought twice this year. Well, he's going to. It's been a big year, and as far as that, that's what I talk about. About good fighters, great fights, moments in boxing that really stand out to you. That Ryan fight that had what? That Ryan fight had my house going nuts. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, listen. And that's crazy. That Ryan Garcia kid, you can say what you want about the kid, but that kid made it there. He's a superstar in boxing. Look, he's got good speed. And with the great training, look, you can say whatever you want. You can call him a TikTok sensation. You can say anything you want about Ryan Garcia, right? But I'm going to tell you right now, that kid got skills. That kid got real skills. And with the right coach and the right tutelage, if he stops fucking around and he stops taking boxing more seriously, that Ryan kid can really be a real threat and he can have a promising career in boxing. I think social media and a lot of, women, girls, money, that and that notoriety, and you see that, I don't even gotta go in the ring and get punched in the face anymore. I'm making enough money off TikTok shit. Why the hell do I want to train? And that starts to take away, that takes away some of our athletes too in the sport. Sometimes you don't even get to see your favorite fight develop. Before all of a sudden you don't see them in the NFL no more. You don't see them in the NBA no more. You don't see them because they just didn't want to accept the responsibility or step up to the challenge. They were like, man, I don't gotta do that. I can do this, or you see them take another path, whatever way it be. Sometimes you don't even get to see that fighter develop the way you thought they were gonna be, And that Ryan kid is pretty good, and I was hyped up too watching that fight too. Speaking of the fight, very interesting enough. Here's a big point. Okay, Ryan Garcia gets knocked out by Tank Davis with a body shot. He gets knocked out by Tank Davis with a body shot. They suspend him for 6 months. So Ryan Garcia cannot schedule a fight. According to the Boxing Association, they deemed him, because the way they hand it out is like a kind of like a concussion protocol in the NFL, right? Depending on the amount of damage you sustained in your fight is how they're gonna determine the suspension and how long. You can get suspended for any amount of time, but I think like the minimum is the 3 months. Or I think mandatorily you will be suspended for those 3 months. Okay, no, I think in some cases they have did in 30 days because if you go out there and knock the guy out like 10 seconds, boom, that's like special in situations. They'll clear you. They'll clear you for a fight. So, anyway, Ryan Garcia gets hit to the body. They said, you know what, kid? You're going to need some time off. 6 months. He has to train for 6 months till he gets to fight. Errol Spence Jr. took that massive ass whooping from Terrence Crawford. You know what they gave him? 2 months suspension. 2 months? You mean to tell me you got knocked down 3 full times in a fight, not one body shot. You got knocked down 3 full times. Errol Spence Jr. his face didn't even look the same. He was bubbled the fuck up like in a cartoon where he said, how many lumps do you want? Let me get 3 lumps. Boop, 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 boop. He had that man bubbled the fuck up, right? And listen, both eyes were split. His nose was bleeding. Mouth was leaking. They said, 2 months. 2 months suspension. And after 2 months, we're clearing you to come back to fight. You know why? The rematch. They want to get it out the way. They're trying to put pressure on Errol Spence Jr. by not giving him the 6 months to recuperate, right? And by saying to him, if you don't take the rematch, we're clearing you in 2 months. Within 4 more months, you should be fighting him, which will be technically in a 6-month span. He'll already be back in the ring in front of Terrence Crawford. That's a recipe for disaster. And he knows it. So what they're trying to do is for him to step out of the side, out of the way. Terrence Crawford's people are trying to put so much pressure on him that he doesn't enforce the rematch clause. If Errol Spence Jr. doesn't enforce the rematch clause, that frees up Terrence Crawford to do whatever he wants, and it doesn't obligate him to the rematch. You see, because had they said, "No, Errol Spence Jr., we feel like you took a massive ass whooping. We're gonna suspend you for 6 months." That means Terrence Crawford would have to sit on a shelf for 6 months, waiting for him. And then after the 6 months is clear, then they gotta set the fight. And that's gonna be another 3 to 4 months to schedule a fight. So that 6 months turns into 10 months. That's what ends up happening. And he knows this. So someone down the line got a vanilla envelope. You know those little square ones? It's usually around that thick. It's filled with a lot of $100 bills, right? And they said, clear him. Clear him for 2 months. Because I've never, bro, never, man, would think that they would have cleared a man that took such a beating, bro. What fucking doctor cleared him? Who signed off on that? When Ryan Garcia got 6 months for a body shot. He didn't even get hit to his head, which was a meeting. Because it would be more damage to get a concussion rather than either a rib injury or a hit to the shot to the body. How the fuck is a rib shot gonna be comparison to you getting your lights banged out by your head? Because that's why you take times off, because your fucking brain was just rattled around. You know? That doesn't sound right. That just does not sound right. Oh, and another thing is that the rumors were that Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. were going to meet at 154. If they were to take that fight at 154, you do realize that that's for no belts. Terrence Crawford is not defending the 147-pound belts because they're fighting at 154. And if Errol Spence Jr. wins, he only wins bragging rights, but he doesn't win any belts at 154. So you know what Terrence Crawford did? This is what he did. He told Errol Spence Jr., "I'll agree to fight you at 154. He said it almost 2 weeks after the fight. It was like 2 weeks fresh after the fight. Terrence Crawford was still over social media saying, "Yeah, Errol Spence Jr., I'll fight you at 154. I'll fight you wherever you want. No problem." But when Errol Spence Jr. went to sign and activate the renegotiation clause, right? And he said, "Okay, I renegotiate." The problem is the rematch clause was signed at 147. It wasn't signed at 154. So Terrence Crawford would have to agree to change it. He knows this. If he doesn't want to agree to change it, all he has to say is, "You know what? I'll fight you at 147. Because that's what we agreed to. We didn't agree that if you lose, I can fight you at 154. No, that's not what was said. When they were making this agreement, neither man was thinking, I'm going to go in there and get my ass whooped, right? Errol Spence Jr. wasn't signing that thing saying, "Oh, I'm going to lose, so after I lose, I'll fight you at 150. No, he was saying, "Man, the rematch will be at 147 if you want it after I bust your ass." And nobody was thinking about the rematch because neither man was thinking they were going to lose. You see? So now that he lost, legally, I know this for a fact. I know that Terrence Crawford has to agree to change it. He has to agree to it. He can enforce the rematch. Now, there's an alteration in it, meaning that, wait a minute, the rematch is not happening at 147. Why the change in the contract? In order to change the contract, both parties got to agree to it. Terrence Crawford got to agree with it. Now, Terrence Crawford is an interesting situation. Because, like I said, 2 weeks all the way leading up until the time was running out for him to activate it, he was like, yeah, I'll fight you at 154. I'll fight you at 154. Once he started to get served, he realized, he said, wait a minute, I really don't want to fight him. I don't want to fight Errol Spence Jr. again. I want to be able to do whatever the hell I want and fight whoever the hell I want. I want this fight to be behind me. How do you get it behind you? Don't agree to 154. Why? Because he couldn't even make 147. Did you see how deplenished he was? Did you see the ass whooping you gave him at 147? Do you mean to tell me he wants to come in there at that exact same weight, at the same weight, and fight you again? He's not going to want to do it. So if he doesn't agree to 154, and he says no, 147, Errol Spence Jr. might drop the rematch. He might be like, you know what? I don't want to fight you at 147. Fuck that. Bam, no rematch. And now he got him to drop it. It's like playing poker. It's like bluffing. And those are the kind of things that happen in the sport. Because I don't really think Terence Crawford wants to fight him. If you ask me, he doesn't really want to fight him. Terence Crawford wants the winner of the Jermell Charlo and Saul Canelo Alvarez fight. I don't think that's, plausible, but he can get one fighter out of them. He can get Jermell Charlo. I don't know if he'll get Canelo Alvarez because, say Canelo Alvarez wins. Do you really think that Terence Crawford is going to jump up 3 weight divisions to fight him? No, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen, right? So he's not going to move up 3 weight divisions. So the fighter that he's got his eye on is Jermell Charlo. So if Jermell Charlo goes up there and wins and he comes back down because now he has to fight Tim Tszyu, he can meet him at 154. Now I can see Terence Crawford going up to 154 and fighting Jermell Charlo. Now that's possible. And he wants to get out of the Errol Spence Jr. fight so that he can do that and prepare, because at this point, he doesn't really know who he's training for and what direction he's going to be going in. If he's heading into a rematch or he's heading into a future fight. That's what he wants to know. And I think that they're bluffing and they're playing with Errol Spence Jr. and they're really trying to push him out of the way. They're making it so impossible of a deadline from him just freshly off that beating that common sense would tell you don't take the fight. But pride is a motherfucker, and Errol Spence Jr. might take that fight out of pride. And he's going to get hurt again, I think. So listen, fight fans, thank you for tuning in. Please like, subscribe on the videos. And like always, I'm on to the next one. Peace. Hey, wait, let me answer your thing. Like you said, a repeat for... Yeah. Nah, yeah. Crawford would seriously hurt him in the next fight? Yes, he will. It hurt him. Listen, I think in the next fight, he's going to be even more that confidence. I think that the first fight, he was a little surprised. You ever been in a fight you thought you were going to go in that was supposed to be like the worst, toughest fight in your life? And it turned on you it turned out you having your way with dude, right? But in between with you having your way, in that moment, you still can't believe it. So you're staying disciplined to the game plan. You're doing what you got to do. But you're really not opening up because something in the back of your head is going to say at any moment, he's going to try to unleash, and I'm going to get the best version of him. He's going to finally catch up to me. But you were just a step ahead of him all night. So, and, let's just keep it funky. If you ever whoop some motherfucker, excuse my language, if you ever whoop some dude's butt, right? Let's just keep it funky, right? And this guy walks up on you the next time you guys fight, you're going to be that much more confident that you're going to beat him. Because you already beat him straight up one time. You know what I'm saying? So, I really think if they fought the next time, it was not going to be like that kind of whooping. It's going to be a whooping and a big knockout. That's what's going to happen. He's going to try to get up again, and it's going to be brutal. And he's going to put him out, and he's going to put him out early. Because He was just way too comfortable in there with Errol Spence Jr., if you ask me. Terrence Crawford looked like he was doing whatever he want, and on his half, it looked like he was in a sparring match. He was like teaching the guy, hey, don't drop your hand. Bow, bow. I'm going to punish you for doing this. Bow. Don't do that. Bow. And it was like he was teaching him the whole night. And it was just, it was bad. It was bad to watch at one point. You know, one of my subscribers said that he just wanted to jump into the TV and fight for him. Yo, that's enough, Terrence Crawford. Get off him. You're fucking trashing him. You know what I mean? Like, you know, Errol Spence Jr., you know, I even think the best version of Errol Spence Jr. would have gave a better fight. Yes, I do believe that. I think the best version of Errol Spence Jr. I saw was much stronger than that version right there. He looked weak. His cheeks look sunken. He looks like he's just gaining too much weight. He's just outgrowing the division. And when he loses this weight, it really deplenishes him. So he didn't really look the same. But I think the best version of Errol Spence Jr. would have went 12 rounds with Terrence Crawford. He would have won 12 rounds. Now, am I saying that he would have beat Terrence Crawford? Maybe not. Maybe not. But I don't think he would have got sunned the way he got sunned in that ring. Bro, Terrence Crawford nearly punched him across the ring. He went, bro, you don't hit amateur fighters with a shot like that. You mean to tell me you just hit the three-time world champion, considered by many to be the best 147-pounder in the world, and you're hitting them with shots like that? Clean shots. Where at that level in the game, you're not supposed to get hit with clean shots like that no more. Meaning, sometimes when you see your favorite fighter coming up in the ranks, and now he starts to be like the number 10 contender in the world, the number 9 contender, then all of a sudden you see him fight, right? And he's fighting, let's say, the number 7 contender in the world. The fight goes 12 rounds. It's kind of dull, a little boring, a little action. And you're saying to yourself, man, my guy didn't look the same. No, that's not what's happening. His level of competition is better. He's not getting away and doing these little moves and tricks on these less, not green guys. These guys are not more experienced. His experience level is going up in his competition, and it's starting to show where that now he's facing himself with skill. So you're not going to get those kind of knockouts. That's what I mean about Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford. He wasn't supposed to be getting hit clean with shots like that, being the 3-division world champion. You get hit shots like that when you're coming up and you got less experience. You know what I'm saying? No champion in the world is supposed to be getting sunned across the ring and flying to the other side. That's not supposed to be happening. But yet it did, and it showed the skill gap. It really exposed Errol Spence Jr., and that's why I believe Terrence Crawford will be way too comfortable. So, listen, anyway, guys, before I end this video, I also want to make an announcement for the 8 people I got here and the other people soon to be watching all over the world or whatever, right? For being a subscriber to my channel. Now, this is only for subscribers to my channel. Right now, we're going to start to, I'm going to auction off and make a giveaway for some prizes. And it'll be later on in this month during the Canelo Alvarez fight. I'll give away one. And from there, so forth and so forth. And we have some pretty good prizes. They're not the biggest, greatest prizes. But as the channel progresses, the prizes will get better, right? Because I just want to show, this is a way of me showing my thanks. You don't have to buy it, nothing. It's just a giveaway. Okay, and we have prizes like signed autograph official memorabilia from Sports Athlete, right? This is Ben Coates from the Patriots. He caught some passes from Tom Brady, and this is authentic card showing its authenticity of his signature. Every card and every photograph has already been graded. So this is all graded stuff. This is all tops graded stuff. And other ones are even better. You know, I didn't get like the big athletes or superstar, but it'd be nice to have an autograph of a player, of a professional athlete. You know, so I got him from the Red Sox, and it's signed. And on the back, it actually has a picture of him signing this actual picture. That's actually him signing this picture, and it was graded. And this one has a case. And then we have Blake right here. And this is another one, and he has his signature as well, like that. And these two right here are in this thing, the little square thing that I cannot pronounce right now. Picture frame. Okay, these two got into a picture frame. I wasn't able to get a picture frame for hit the Ben Coates one. And then I also have another one with Mohamed Sanu from the Patriots. This is a Mohamed Sanu signed autograph. Has his name in the back. Also as well has the card of Antarcticity. You know, tongue tied there. You know what I mean? Certificate of I'm just tongue tied right now. Tired. So yeah. So these are some of the things that we're going to be giving away to some of the members and subscribers to the channel. And you will stand to win it. All you have to do is enter it. I will leave details in the next video. And like always, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Please like the videos. I'm on to the next one. Peace.